whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content. Those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Ho, ho, ho. This is your legal Santa, Gavin Richard, wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year. The law offices of Gavin M. Richard, going a distance so that justice may be served. The rise and fall of an American icon, Bill Cosby. In the mid-1980s, there was not a star that was higher than Cosby. Advertisements with Coca-Cola, Jell-O, Kodak, along with the #1 television show for 5 straight years in a row. On Thursday nights, it was must-see TV on NBC. Cosby resurrected the genre of the traditional family sitcom that was once thought dead by television critics. He did this as a Black American with an all-Black cast and showed mainstream network executives in white America that it was possible to be successful without showing the worst in people. He also demonstrated the power that television had, as it can make younger people dream to be the best that they can be. However, like many celebrity stars, unfortunately, they all come crashing down, sometimes by their own fault, others not so much. In this book, I attempted to highlight certain things. We go in depth into both of his trials in 2017 and 2018, respectively. What if I told you that these criminal trials were politically motivated by an overzealous district attorney? Will you also be shocked to learn the attacks on Mr. Cosby did not start in 2014, but also in the 90s, not long after his attempted quest to purchase a major network? From where did all of these allegations of sexual misconduct come from? Were the accusers telling the truth? In the 2 years of research, with some help from others interested in learning the truth and facts about this case, we discussed both the legal reasons why his prosecution and trial were illegal, unwarranted, and also the possible personal motives as to why this may have occurred. Most importantly, we warn about the dangers of prejudice and why trial by social media, or mainstream media rather, should never be the norm. All this and more in The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. Available on Amazon this fall in Kindle and paperback format. wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. The place to be right here is with me on channel GBoo2786. Thank you all for joining me tonight on Random Topic Tuesdays here on YouTube channel GBoo2786, as well as our backup channel, Gavin Richard, on Facebook and on Twitter via Periscope, Gavin Rich 2786. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be discussing the following topics for the night. What really went down with Antonio Brown? Albany District Attorney declines to press charges against Andrew Cuomo. And Patton Oswalt throws Dave Chappelle under the bus. All this and more, ladies and gentlemen, in this year of 2022. It's a brand new year, a brand new you. That's what our motto for this January, what we're doing now today. So make it a good one. Make your day successful, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, I would ask you all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. You know how we do it here. Also, if you check out the links at the bottom, please donate to the Cash App, Gavin Richard, Esquire, or Google Pay at gavin.grich1@gmail.com. That's also the email for the PayPal, and we have Zelle, ladies and gentlemen. Let us begin, guys. Also, if you have not, you can still pick up some of our delicious Creole seasoning blends. That's nonniescreoleblends.com. nonniescreoleblends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nonnies goes great with every dish. So we have that. We also have our song catalog, Video Soul, which is available on Spotify, as well as our theme song that we always play for today, ladies and gentlemen. Got to get on up. So we're going to go ahead and get this party rolling, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a few clicks for some news and information. But until then, enjoy this beat. Testing 1, 2. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can't hear it? Hold on. All right, hold on 1 second. Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor, baby. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. All right, the place to be is right here with me. It's channel Gboo2786 only. Channel Gboo2786. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to excuse me if I don't appear on camera. I've had one of them days, so we're just going to go ahead right now and go live from my avatar for the night. I needed some me time, guys, so hope you are blessed and doing safe. Danielle said she's not been feeling good, so I'm hoping that you get your negative results back soon, that it comes back negative. Ladies and gentlemen, we also, so I'm praying for you, but we also got to acknowledge someone in the chat, because it is somebody's birthday today. So you know how we do the birthday treatment, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Black Voltron. Happy birthday to you. Yeah. Aaron Neville, thank you very much, Aaron Neville, and happy birthday to our brother Black Voltron. Happy birthday to him. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're most welcome. What if Aaron Neville was the first hype man for hip hop? You know, jump, jump, Mac Daddy, make you wanna, don't it make you wanna jump, jump? Oh, my Mac Daddy, going, going, on. 911 is a joke in your town. Go on and get up and get down. Go and get down. Someone said, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead. I just acting a fool there. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't know where to begin. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a particular order, but you know what? I do want to talk about something right quick. Now, you remember, those of you can remember, I did a video a few weeks back when we found out that James Brown had sold his family. James Brown is dead. He's been deceased for 15 years. His family sold his catalog for about $90 million. And to answer your question, Lamiko, because you said, do the Neville brothers still live in the parish of New Orleans? Aaron Neville does not live in New Orleans. I do know that some of the relatives, some of the families still live down here. As you know, a couple of the Neville brothers, like Art Neville, has passed on. I'm trying to think. I think Cyril had passed on, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on one second. But you know, the Neville brothers are a huge influence here in R&B in New Orleans. Since we're talking about music, you know, this was the city, ladies and gentlemen, where in large part where rock and roll got started. Fats Domino, Dave Bartholomew, Little Richard actually recorded Tutti Frutti here in New Orleans. He recorded it actually right at the record studio that was here, legendary. So yeah, Charles Neville has died. I believe. No, Cyril is still alive. Charles passed and Art passed. That's who's no longer here. Now, I believe is Cyril. Charles. Now you might know who his daughter is. Charmaine. Yeah, Charmaine Neville, who's a jazz singer. She sings. Of course, she got widespread coverage because she talked about the media had reported her tale of witnessing cannibalism, alligator attacks, rape, and other things that happened and how she escaped. I remember that. But of course, yeah, but that's Charmaine. That's Charmaine. We also have Art. Now, Art's daughter, you guys may know, is Arthel Neville, who was a news anchor at one point with Fox News. Now, She was from his first wife, Doris Devil. Now, I'm not going to go back and forth over this because I wanted to go over some stuff with you guys and get into this. But yeah, what I was saying about Little Richard's record company, with Tutti Frutti, Little Richard was working with a guy by the name of Robert Blackwell, and JM Studio was the studio where Little Richard recorded that song. It was recorded in September of 1955, and of course, that's his signature song. That's the song everybody is familiar with Little Richard. Yes, Cyril is still with us. Cyril is still with us. Aaron is still with us. Ivan is still here. But Charles and Art have passed. Okay. Now, what I want to talk about, let me show you guys this. So I was talking about James Brown and the catalog. This is what I want to share with you all. So this popped up earlier today. Shout out to Nicole. Get well soon, sweetheart. I believe she's got the flu. This came on my screen yesterday. So David Bowie joins constellation of stars selling off back catalogs for galactic sums. Cue changes. Warner Chappelle Music has bought the publishing rights to David Bowie's catalog of songs for what may be more than $250 million, according to some reports. That's nearly 185 million pounds or euros out there in Europe, about that equivalent. The musician died almost exactly 5 years ago on January 10, 2016, after a diagnosis of liver cancer. The Fantastic Pack with the David Bowie estate opens up a universe of opportunities to take his extraordinary music into dynamic places. Enthused Warner Chappelle Music co-chair and COO Corinne Marshall said in a statement, "This isn't merely a catalog, but a living, breathing collection of timeless songs that are as powerful and resonant today as they were when they were first written." The announcement follows a string of similar ones over the past 2 years. Bruce Springsteen, Paul Simon, Bob Dylan, Stevie Nicks, and Neil Young are just some of the stars who have recently sold off substantial rights to their music. It should be noted there are huge differences between royalties for songwriting and performance. Some of these deals are just for publishing, as with the Bowie deal. Others also include the original recordings known as masters. So Springsteen sold his entire back catalog from songwriting and recordings to Sony Music Group. According to a December 16th announcement, industry reports placed the purchase at north of $500 million. Even before the official announcement of the purchase in May, Sony Music Group chairman Rob Stringer told investors he spent about $1.5 billion just on music acquisition since the beginning of this year, including rights to some of the most iconic artists of all time, such as Paul Simon. Now, there's a reason why I'm going over this. Hamiko asks, is Hamad getting a piece of that catalog? Well, I would think, being that she is his wife, unless he had some type of will where she would not get it, that she is going to get something of that. But $250 million of it. Remember something, when you say the estate of a person, estate does not mean family. The estate is something separate. It's basically a whole new juridical person. And of course, if someone dies, what we call intestate without a will, then if they have family members, they get to inherit that person's property, that separate property that they own. If they do not have family members and they have or if they do have family members even and they have a will, then the will needs to be what we called in probate court. It gets probated, and whoever the property goes to. But I'm pointing this out. Now, David Bowie, don't get me wrong, is one of the best selling artists of all time. Uh-oh. Now, David Bowie is one of the best selling artists of all time, but David Bowie, I know for a fact, has not, when we compare it with James Brown, while he did not sell, James Brown is not considered or in the category of, best-selling artists selling over 100 million albums or whatever, according to records industry standards. Bowie sold over 100 music albums worldwide. And I'm going by what I'm looking at as the statistics. James Brown influenced different genres of music and styles and entertainment. James Brown influenced hip hop. James Brown essentially is one of the co-creators of hip hop and influences, along with Sly and the Family Stone, along with you have even some R&B groups like the Shy Lights. If you listen to some of Beyonce's music, like Crazy in Love, that's based off of a Shy Lights song. Now, this is the list of best-selling music artists, and you take Warner Brothers, Chappelle Music, and Sony ATV Publishing, the Sony catalog that Michael co-owned at one point. All of those music publishers, those two, along with Cobalt, I think are the three largest music publishing companies in the world. There's a lot of money that can be made from this. So these are artists, 250 million records or more. You look in order, they got the Beatles, they got Elvis, and they got Michael Jackson as third, although I think Michael sold even more albums than what they're saying. He outsold the Beatles, from my knowledge. You got to count bootleg records, but they're going off official statistics. Okay. Then you have 200 million to 249. Eminem, Mariah Carey, Taylor Swift, Queen, Eagles, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, AC/DC, the Rolling Stones. Now, Bowie Now, David Bowie is credited with selling 100 million. Prince actually has a higher has 100 million as well. Now, yeah, absolutely. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Not just hip hop, but the musicians that came after him. We mentioned Prince and Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's biggest influence, and he's said it at the funeral of James Brown. He's always said it when they honored James Brown at the BET Awards, was James Brown. Michael Jackson has said this. Michael Jackson has stated, the artists like Jackie Wilson, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, and James Brown were his biggest influences, I should say. This was history right here. Y'all remember this one? Hold on. So I'm gonna have to do a whole video on this, but because I got other stuff we want to talk about, but I had to talk about this because this is what happens when you undervalue your own. Y'all just think money is money. And it wasn't just, let me stop for a second. It was not just James Brown whose catalog was sold. Remember, Tina Turner sold her catalog for like $50 million. All of these artists, damn well, have sold over 100. Even if they didn't sell 100 million, James Brown didn't sell 100 million. Their influence enough is worth more than $90 million or $50 million by industry standards. You don't think Tina Turner could have gotten more than 50 million? Yeah, I get and I got niggas telling me the same excuse. Well, that's still a lot of money. That's still a lot of money. That ain't the point. Yeah, it's a lot of money to you because you never touched it. Those people have been millionaires for at least 30 years of their lives. The issue is generational wealth. It's a license to print money. What you just read in that article about David Bowie, the woman said it herself. The co-chair said herself. She said, this fantastic pact with the David Bowie estate opens up a universe of opportunities to take his extraordinary music into dynamic new places. That means we're going to keep making money. We're going to keep making money. And you think James Brown only got 90 million? I'm not saying James Brown should have gotten necessarily the equivalent of Bruce Springsteen, like 500 million or even David Bowie, but he should have been at least in the 100 million range. He had to have been. Tina Turner could have gotten, if Tina Turner had even sold it for 90 million, I could possibly see that. But because as good as Tina Turner is or was as a singer, James Brown, I believe, had even a wider influence on musicians than anybody, any performer. Did y'all remember this?
Nobody has influenced me more than this man right here. Years ago, Little Mike, and I remember, he did a lot of James Brown steps, but then later on, he got his own steps. And that's what it's about. God bless the child that got his own. I love him, but not as much as he loved him. I love you more. Oh! You taught me everything. Well, Michael, we all know that you went on and did a lot of things yourself.
Yes, indeed. He went on to do a lot of things by himself. But I remember when that happened. I was actually at Xavier. I wasn't in school at Xavier. We had a summer program, and that was, the BET Awards came on back in. That was in 2002. So I'll never forget that. That was huge because nobody ever saw James Brown and Michael Jackson before. Nobody had seen that. So that was different. That was new to see those two brothers there. And Michael even going to James Brown's funeral, picking out the casket, speaking at his eulogy. MC Hammer, I think, were the only two artists that were there. So I'm gonna have to do a whole video though and break down of what's happening with these artists. Why is it they're underpaid?
Why even in that? Because you would think, that music is played all the time. James Brown is played everywhere. Michael Jackson, damn sure, is played everywhere. Why that? Why that happened, I don't know. But yeah, Michael, Prince, and those guys were influencers on him. But you look at this here. Let me just show one more last thing because I want to get to the topic because I'm trying not to do a 2-hour show. I don't want to do that. But that's Michael at James Brown's funeral. Now, this was after his trial. Remember, he was living out of the country. And when James Brown died, Christmas Day 2006, Michael actually flew back in town out to Atlanta, Georgia, and at the Apollo Theater to be there for his idol. Now look what these assholes from the New York Daily News wrote. Michael Jackson's grim fascination with death. Odd 5-hour vigil over James Brown. I didn't even know that existed. Why you write some shit like this? An odd 5-hour odd 5-hour vigil? Who writes that? He said he stood for nearly 5 hours. Jackson arrived at 12:30 a.m. on this December day in 2007. It was actually 2006. He strode directly up to the gold-plated coffin, nearly back from Lion and State, up at the Apollo Theater. The lid was raised, and Brown lay in a bed of cream-colored satin. He leaned over and kissed him on his forehead, according to Charles Reed, the proprietor of the C.A. Reed Funeral Home out of Augusta. So that's where Michael went. But you look at this article, you guys can't see it here, but look, this is old. But look how they try to shame Michael Jackson for honoring our brother, honoring the godfather of soul. Look at the title. They said the funeral proprietor said he stood there, I guess, an hour or so just looking. Now, people don't realize if you go and look up an interview with James Brown's son, if you look at an interview with James Brown's son, Daryl Brown talked about how Michael picked out the casket. He told the guards, the funeral director, how he wanted his hair done, how James Brown had his hair done, and everything. So Michael was a student of James Brown. So that's what that was all about. He idolized this man. He loved this man like a father. He actually called, from what I understand, he used to call James Brown dad because, Joseph never let his kids call him dad. But let's go ahead and let's get into the topics, ladies and gentlemen. We've had enough of this. Now, speaking of getting shitted on, let's start with this one. I was going to do Antonio Brown first, but I'm going to start with this one. Now, some of you how many of you know the comedian Patton Oswalt? Now, Patton Oswalt is a comedian. I remember he did a show back in the 90s. He was on King of Queens. I know he's, out of New York, out of that area, which was where most comedians get started, out of the big city like New York. And on New Year's Eve, he took a picture with Dave Chappelle and received backlash from it. So instead of not saying anything, because now you look at this picture, this is his friend, and I don't like going on TMZ. Now he says himself, he and Dave Chappelle have been friends for over 30 plus years. And Oswald threw this man under the bus, saying he did some soul searching to kick off 2022 and a deep dive into reconciling friendships with differing point of views was spurred by none other than Dave Chappelle. The comic was catching some backlash over the past couple of days before a set of photos he posted on IG, which show him palling around with Dave in Seattle, where they were both performing to end the year, and when they actually shared stage time. Now, Dave Chappelle actually called him over to the arena to do a guest set. He says, "Come over. I finished my set at MCCA at MCCA Caldwell Hall and got MCCA MCCAW Hall and got a text from Dave Chappelle." I'm not familiar where this is, ladies and gentlemen. I guess this is okay. This is Marion Oliver McCaw Hall. Okay, the McCaw Hall. My mistake. And got a text from Dave Chappelle. "Come over to the arena. He's performing next door and do a guest set. Why not? I waved goodbye to this hell year with a genius I started comedy with 34 years ago. He works in the arena like he's talking to one person and charming their skin off. Anyway, I ended the year with a real friend and a deep laugh. Can't ask for much more." And so some people criticized him over some jokes that Dave made, of course, in that brilliant Netflix comedy special, The Closer. And Patton Oswalt wrote this: "I saw a friend I hadn't seen in a long time this New Year's Eve. We've known each other since we were teens. He's a fellow comedian, the funniest I've ever met. I wanted to post a pic and an IG story about it, so I did. The friend is Dave Chappelle. 34 years we've been friends. He's refocused and refined his ideas a lot of us took as settled about race and history and life on planet Earth and spun them around with a good phrase or punchline. We've done bad and good gigs, open mics and TV tapings, but we also 100% disagree about transgender rights and representation. I support trans people's rights, anyone's rights to live safely in the world as their fullest selves. For all the things he's helped me evolve on, I'll always disagree with where he stands now on transgender issues. But I also don't believe a seeker like him is done evolving, learning. You know, someone that long sees the struggles and changes, it's impossible to cut them off. Impossible not to be hopeful and open and cheer them on. Also, I've been carrying a lot of guilt about friends I've cut off who had views with which I couldn't agree or change in ways I couldn't live with. Sometimes I wonder did I and others cutting them off make them dig their heels in deeper, fuel their ignorance with the nitro boost of resentment and spite. I am an LGBTQ ally. I'm a loyal friend. There's friction in those traits that I need to reconcile myself and not let cause feelings of betrayal in anyone else. And I'm sorry, truly sorry, that I didn't consider the hurt this would cause or the depth of that hurt. I've been messaging a lot on IG today, and the back and forth has really helped guide me in the writing of this. I naively deleted a lot of posts in the comment thread, critical ones from LGBTQ writers and shit posts by TERF anti-trans orgs looking for kick, clicks, and giggles. I wanted a nice comment thread about the pic with my friend. Ugh. So easy to think someone else needs growth and miss the need in yourself. Going to keep trying. Well,
and they've canceled people that are more.
All right. First and foremost, here's my thoughts on that. Yes, gender is a fact. This is the problem I have. Now, I stopped, I was never really a fan of Patton Oswalt. I remember I liked him on that television show, King of Queens, which I thought was hilarious. But I didn't care for him especially if you remember when he started to throw Bill Cosby under the bus. Talking about how he knew Bill Cosby was always a rapist or heard this stuff. And Sinbad even called Patton Oswalt out. He called Patton Oswalt a liar. He flat out called Patton Oswalt a liar. For saying that. Oswalt, what he's doing, yeah, he's campaigning for the white liberal, for the LGBTQ. He's cooning it up for them because essentially these guys, and we've said it before, they are bullies. They are bullies. If you disagree with them, if you say anything against them, you're in trouble. And that's essentially what's happened here. Patton Oswalt, through his friend, he claims Dave Chappelle is a friend, but you throw your friend under a bus for making jokes. First, I'm sure, especially if you've been friends for 30 plus years ago, you didn't heard some jokes about gay people from back in the 80s. You've heard jokes about gay people before, man. How come it's cool for you guys it's okay to joke about everything else? You're a comedian, you're supposed to support. I mean, you don't have to agree with every joke a comedian says. Some stuff is not funny, but freedom of speech applies to us all. He's upset with Dave, Nino, are basically trying to cool everything down with the LGBT mafia because they were all upset. And it's not even the LGBTQ. I think it's certain in its entirety, it's certain members and just trolls who came at him because they didn't like the jokes that Chappelle said. But it's like what Dave Chappelle said when he was on Comedy Central. It was okay for me to say nigger, but anything else, anything against gay people, anything that was against, transgenders, anything like lesbians, I couldn't say. I couldn't make jokes on.
I'm Team Turf. I agree, man. Gender is a fact. You have to look at it from a woman's perspective. Look at it like this. Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person. Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every bitch in Detroit. She's better than all of you. Gender is a fact. This is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact.
But what you got to realize, guys, it's not so much about them rights. What this is about is feelings. What if you are a biblical person, if you know the Bible or anything, you know that Christ had even said himself that when it would be the time for the Son of Man to return, it would be like the days of Noah and the days of Lot. Even St. Paul talks about that in his letter to the Romans. How God would remove his spirit and people would give into the desires of themselves and so forth. It's basically the society we live in. Right is wrong and wrong is right. Never mind what I believe is right. Never mind what I know is right. It's about what makes me feel good. But Patton Oswalt ain't nothing but a fucking weasel for doing that. Because if that's your friend, you stand by your friend. You don't have to agree with your friend, but you should support. What does Dave Chappelle? You should support what Dave Chappelle, his right to say that. What did Dave Chappelle say that was supposed to warrant all of this? Obviously, he hit a nerve. Right. You say the F word. You can say nigga, but you can't say the F word. The F word, now that word is actually even worse than saying nigga. Remember what happened to Isaiah Washington when he said, no, I didn't call T.R. Knightley on Grey's Anatomy a F word. He says, I didn't say that. And he got suspended. He got fired. And his career never was really the same since. But, with Patton Oswalt, yeah, he's one of those guys, as someone who has been, in the comedy field, in the arena, I can tell you all the comedy field is, as you've probably already figured out, is extremely liberal. It is extremely liberal. It's an extremely free and open-minded culture. Although you may have some stand-up comedians, of course, who pertain to a certain base. So you have for instance, even your comics who do clean comedy, religious comedy. There are people who come to see that. There are comedians who come to see, Def Comedy Jam. There are people who come to see or like to see Def Comedy Jam. They have people who like observationalists like Jerry Seinfeld. Or Jerry Seinfeld, people that like Chris Rock. So everybody's going to find something they like. And there are people who are never, and I can tell you, while you're going to have people that are going to like you, you're also going to have people who will despise you or can't feel you. And that's just natural. You can't please everybody. You're not going to be able to please every comedian, every person's. I could tell the funniest joke ever. There's still going to be somebody who says, oh, that shit wasn't funny. That Negro ain't funny. You can't please everybody. Somebody's going to get offended by something. Yeah, Oswald was definitely a weasel for that. But Dave, he's not apologizing. Like he said in his stand-up subsequently after that, you need to tell me what I said. What did I do? You need to meet with me in my own term. You have to have seen the entire special. If you have not done that, then I'm not going to meet with you. And he's right. I wouldn't even waste time with that. We have sunk a new low. We went from George Carlin, who did the 7 words you can't say on television, from the great Richard Pryor, all the way to, you offend me. You can't say that. We went all the way from that to Amanda. We went from Richard Pryor to Eddie Murphy to Amanda Seals to the Black Female Sketch Comedy Show. That shit was not even. I watched one episode of that Black Female. I couldn't even laugh at it. I didn't laugh once. But that's what they put out. That's what they want as the new comedy. That's what they want you to be. It's like what Chris Rock even said. You got people getting stand-up specials who ain't even that funny. Somebody that gets an HBO special and they're on at the Comedy Store. Oh, George Carlin was a beast. George Carlin was a beast. Meanwhile, you got comedians you have never heard of who are so funny. Damn sure funny. You'll never see them again because they don't kiss. You don't see those people because they don't kiss ass. That's not who the industry wants to push. What happened to Eddie Griffin? Eddie Griffin was a beast. I always loved Eddie Griffin. Robin Harris, Red Fox. George Carlin would tell this. He would have fun if he were alive
with the cult, with what he's saying today. He could do a whole special on cancel culture. It's like what Cat Williams was talking about, the Melanie Camachos, the Lunels, those women. Now, Lunel, of course, yeah, she's coming out with stuff, but the Melanie Camacho, yeah, who's been around for a while, you know, she hasn't had a stand-up special. They got that other woman who does stand-up. I saw something. I saw Faison Love was talking about this woman on Netflix who got a stand-up special. I didn't get to watch it yet, but he said it was awful. I don't know. I don't even know who Hannah Gatsby is. I mean, look what happened with Monique versus Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer's stand-up special that was on Netflix, it was trash. But they gave her the larger contract. Of course, yes, she sold out Madison Square Garden. Yes. But yeah, but I thought this was trash that he did this. So let's move on, guys. But hit that like, share, subscribe button. So let's talk about this. So the Albany District Attorney out in New York has declined to press charges against former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Now, according to your CNN, someone else I don't like to quote either, but Eddie Griffin is still funny. I saw him in New Orleans in 2020. He still got it. He never lost it. So a New York district attorney has declined to press charges against former Governor Andrew Cuomo on a misdemeanor sex crime charge of forcible touching, despite finding Cuomo's accuser cooperative and credible. Albany County District Attorney David Soares said in a statement Tuesday that he was declining to prosecute a former aide's allegation that Cuomo had groped her ahead of the Democratic former governor's scheduled court appearance this month. Soares said in a statement that he could not prove the charge filed by the Albany County Sheriff in October in a courtroom to the criminal standard of proof. He said, while many have an opinion regarding the allegations against the former governor, the Albany County's DA's office is the only one who has the burden to prove the elements of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Soares said, while we find the complaint in this case cooperative and credible after review of all the evidence, we have concluded that we cannot meet our burden at trial. The decision comes after district attorneys in Westchester and Nassau counties also in the last 2 weeks declined to press charges against Andrew Cuomo. Those cases focused on different allegations. Soares noted that the decision to discontinue criminal prosecution is unrelated to any possible civil liability. So, what you have here, ladies and gentlemen, from my opinion, is that the DA's office, while they've said that they had credible proof, they don't believe it can go beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, I take note of how this district attorney sounds. It's very similar to what happened almost in 2005 with Bill Cosby in Montgomery County with your Bruce Castor as the district attorney, not Kevin Steele at that time, although Steele was an ADA. But in that case, while he thought that the only alternatives that your Andrea Constant had was to file a lawsuit, he did not believe she was even credible by his own statements. He thought that she would be attacked, although he didn't even defend Bill Cosby. But this also says, guys, if all of these, that also tells me that they're staying on code. At least one of them. Now, what's also interesting, separately, I'm reading this further. Cuomo's attorney Elkin Abramowitz told CNN that the Manhattan DA's office closed an investigation into whether there was criminal liability from nursing home leadership or state officials for the COVID-19 deaths in nursing homes that took place back in 2020. Abramowitz stated, I was contacted today, this was Monday, by the head of the elder care unit from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, who informed me they have closed its investigation involving the executive chamber and nursing homes. Abramowitz was outside counsel to Cuomo's office when the former governor was in office. I was told that after a thorough investigation, as we have said all along, there was no evidence to suggest any laws were broken. Unquote, quote unquote. So, from what we see here, Andrew Cuomo will not be facing any type of criminal charges. Doesn't mean that he can't face lawsuits, which I believe are already in progress. Some, or few of them, have been in progress. Darius from Atlanta, what's up, my man? You said that the Super Pervio brothers put the fix in. Chris's charges will get dismissed too. Now Don Lemon better be careful. They'll give him the juicy smoothie treatment. Yeah, oh sister boy Don Lemon. I've had my, you know what saved Don Lemon though from being fired from CNN? Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave CNN, I think, their longest ratings that they've had in over, probably a decade. That's why Don Lemon has that job on CNN. That, and he was pushing LGBTQ because he is gay. If you look at Don Lemon, you look at the stuff he said and did, everything he pushed, and this was another thing too. He was not a strong he was not a strong black man with a spine. He would say things that were anti-black, counter to what black people have been fighting for the last 300, 400 years. I mean, talking about how even the last 40 years from the civil rights movement, when you said you don't think black people have an issue with stop and frisk, or, you go to Ferguson and talk about how you smell weed, but couldn't smell injustice. Like, hey, I'm sorry, something happened with my mic. CNN is changing its platform. It's changing its leadership. They've been bought by another company. So what you're seeing basically actually may be a good thing, uh, because it can get back to media, back to news, instead of agendas and endorsing Democratic politics. Just like I don't like Fox News when they endorse Republicans. News should be free of partisan, should be nonpartisan. You report the news. Yeah, you can give your opinion, but I don't really need your opinion. You report the news.
What's the real story? They used to have anchors on CNN that actually did their jobs, like your Larry King, who was an investigative journalist, a man who dealt with facts and not speculation and innuendo. He didn't care about politics. He wanted to know what the story was. Bernard Shaw, brothers like that. That's who I like. What we got today is garbage. That's why they're getting exposed. But I knew Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo weren't going to get criminally charged with that. Y'all think as much secrets as the governor, if you thought Epstein getting killed was going to be one thing, as much secrets as that governor might have on New York, and plus being that he's the former governor, he's got friends, I'm sure, in high places that look out for him. Now, they're saying there's a federal investigation as to how he handled the COVID-19 crisis with the nursing home deaths, and that's an ongoing investigation according to what CNN is posting. The Eastern District of New York is looking into that. So we're going to find out what happens, but he's not facing any criminal charges. So I didn't expect that, but it doesn't surprise me. It's just a matter of time. I don't know how long Don Lemon's contract is. I'm surprised they didn't fire him after the new year. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and get into our final topic, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't start with this, but this was obviously the big news here. What happened yesterday in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Your Antonio Brown, who has played for 4 different teams. He started off his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He went on to play with the New England Patriots for a time briefly, then got traded to the Oakland Raiders. Then from the Raiders, he was cut. And when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay this past year, he wanted and vouched for Antonio Brown, even having him stay at his house. Well, something happened that obviously took place at your Meadowlands in New York, and of course this has been going viral. Everybody is talking about this now. Antonio Brown walked off the field during the game. The game was not over when he walked off. This is mid-game when they're still down in the third quarter by 14 points. And different reports have come in about what happened. Now, this is the clip and this is an angle from a fan that was sitting in the stands who reported this or showed this video, but this was happening here. Now, when he did this, there was actually security out there who thought a fan had gotten on the field and was streaking. But Antonio Brown stripped half naked onto the field, jogging while the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were on the other side of the field, and jogged back into the locker room. Now, at a press conference, so that's the video. And at a press conference, Bruce Arians said the following, who's the coach of the Buccaneers. He actually addressed the issue with Antonio Brown very briefly. He said he's no longer a Buck. Now, so there's been speculation too that Antonio had an injury. He claimed, I've heard from Ian Rappaport, that was reported, that he had an ankle injury issue, which is documented. He had some injury issues earlier this year, especially particularly with his ankle. And I'm not making excuses for his behavior and what he did. If it was just a selfish act, and some of the report, of course, the next day you saw him all blowing up. I saw Shannon talking about him. I didn't see Stephen A. Smith talk about it. And I think Shannon's a little bit better than Stephen A., but sometimes Shannon, I'm like, nah. So this is what Ian Rappaport reported. I wanted to play the clip of, if I could. They said he would be released by the Bucs, and yes, Bruce Arians said he's no longer a Buck, but as of today, he is not on any active waivers. He has not been released, which means they being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, hold the rights to over Antonio Brown. So this was the press conference immediately after.
Hey, Bruce, congratulations on the win. We want to talk about that last drive, but I have to start with, can you tell us what happened to Antonio Brown? Did he quit? I've never seen a guy leave the field like that, and is this the last strike for him?
He is no longer a Buck. All right, that's the end of the story. Let's talk about the guys that went out there and won the game.
Okay, and can you talk about that final drive? I mean, obviously, they go for it there. You stop them, and then Cyril Grayson again with a big play.
Yeah, I can't stand.
Now, what's interesting is that Tom Brady had actually later on, and I think they kind of changed their tune. Not changed their tune on Antonio per se, that he's a bad guy, but what Tom Brady was saying, and I want to actually play the video. He said that, and I'm going to play the clip here, because he said that Antonio Brown needs help. Now, mental health, now, that's a good point that you made. Rolly can't even. Roland's upset because he can't even run up down the fucking field. He couldn't even be a lineman. He's too short. He's too fat. And he should shut his ass up. I've heard that too, but from what I'm reading with Ian Rappaport's report, let's go with what Ian Rappaport said. I'm going to play that in a second.
Here's my understanding of the Antonio Brown
I'll play it right now since it's coming up automatically. Let me stop sharing this, and we'll go back to my other video, but we'll go ahead and share the Ian Rappaport report.
It started, the scenes we saw, of course, were on the sideline with the Bucs coaching staff and Bruce Arians telling Antonio Brown to get in the game. Antonio Brown refusing to get into the game, despite the coaches asking him to, and then tossing him from the sideline and eventually releasing him. From Antonio Brown's standpoint, talk to people close to him, what they say is he did not feel like he was healthy enough to play. There was an ankle injury that he was battling, did not practice Thursday or Friday, was cleared to play in the game, was running routes and looking good, looking healthy before the game. But in his mind, the reason he refused, according to those close to Antonio Brown, is because he wasn't healthy. He looked pretty healthy there running across the field, but he is saying that he is not healthy. But that is not where it started. There's been a boiling frustration inside the organization about Antonio Brown, his rehab, how much he was paying attention to that, his suspension, how honest he was with them, endless issues with Antonio Brown. So we saw the end point yesterday with him taking his clothes off and running off the field, but that was certainly not where it started. And it looked like this was the way the relationship was going to end anyway. It just ends in more histrionic fashion than maybe we were imagining.
Well,
you can't count out the Steelers. You can't do it. I cannot believe that team that we watched last night is alive in the playoffs. They're alive. They got this quarterback who threw 34 passes in the first half or something. It was ridiculous. And some of them, I've seen handoffs longer than some of those passes.
Oh, by the way,
incredible
what you're seeing there, they were all up and down on Ben Roethlisberger's nuts, praising him. And we forget Ben Roethlisberger's transgressions. As a matter of fact, I have something from San Francisco Gate because yesterday was the Steelers' last home game, and it was Ben Roethlisberger's last home game. Apparently he's going to retire at the end of this season, and I got to shout out to Mike Tomlin because Mike Tomlin has been the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers for going on for about 15 seasons. And in those entire 15 seasons that he has coached, the Pittsburgh Steelers have never had a losing season. They have always either had a winning season under or a tied season with your Mike Tomlin as head coach. So for those that want to fire Mike Tomlin, those say he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That says otherwise. So Mike Tomlin doesn't get a lot of props like talking about it. But this is San Francisco Gate. Of course, San Francisco Gate, just the name of it says they're going to be biased because they said, thank you, Ben Roethlisberger, for being a real jackass. Yeah, well, Ben Roethlisberger had I remember when he had 2 rape charges. He wasn't demonized. Now, of course, in fairness, he was not charged. He was not convicted of anything. You're innocent until proven guilty. But ESPN gave him a full "This Is Your Life" treatment, complete with custom stats, animations, fun and commentary, clips of Roethlisberger from days when his head wasn't quite as fat, and aimless graphics of his current fat, annoying head in between every play. And they always call him Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben. But I'm just reading this stuff. But look at this. The early history of Roethlisberger, papered over by Monday Night Football analyst Brian Greasy under the euphemism of mistakes, is why no one can stand this bastard. But before you scream not news at me in any unsufferable Yingzer accent, you should know that Roethlisberger has done plenty since then to keep any and all hatred of him burning with great justification and equal vigor. There was, of course, the time he played wingman to Donald Trump and set him up with adult film star Stormy Daniels before a legend coming onto her himself. Wow, I didn't know that. Daniels said of the encounter, "I was terrified. I am really terrified." I don't know anything about that. There's the fact that Roethlisberger was such a galactic prick that even certain Steeler fans who will forgive any Steeler, even Franco Harris, turned on him. Nah. So thank you for being a jackass. He got 2 Super Bowl victories and even played halfway decently in one of them. But yeah, Roethlisberger, who was, I look at this from an analyst standpoint. He was a good quarterback, and more than likely he's going to get in the Hall of Fame. I mean, look, Terry Bradshaw didn't even have the stats that Roethlisberger has and is in the Hall of Fame. He has those 4 Super Bowls. Yeah, exactly. Chris Rock called Ben Roethlisberger the original Bill Cosby. Well, the thing with CTE, and people are saying that, other people saying no, AB is just a selfish prick. Look, you never know what people are going through privately. And I know from what happened is either one of 2 things. One of 3 things happened. AB is a selfish prick. AB is suffering from bipolar disorder, or he was benched and they wouldn't give him his money. Something happened. Something happened. Now, y'all remember this. Now I remember this. This was in 2015. I remember watching this exactly. This was in the 2016 playoff. Y'all hear? Hold on. Y'all remember this?
Roethlisberger from the pocket, middle field, incomplete. Push the ball, a flag does come in. Went to the head. Lewis Harris is going to be flagged for this.
That's Vontaze Burfict
on Antonio Brown, and it's going to put the Steelers in field goal range. Burfict was in there too. Burfict is coming across the field. I saw it. I thought it was him. Yeah, and I know that they both were in on the coverages at 55 or 37.
Personal foul, defense number 55. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Burfict in the end. Definitely took the shot to the head. You could see it live. Marvin Lewis, before this track started, was talking.
Now watch the hit.
The whole time it seemed like
boom.
Vontaze Burfict, and yes.
Oh my goodness.
Brown is still down. That's, of course, flagrant. Out of control. Out of control. It's going to be everything. That's going to be suspension, fine.
Yeah, Vontaze Burfict was one of the dirtiest players in the game. Not as bad as Bill Roman. He was bad, but Bill Romanowski was even worse. Romanowski actually broke Shannon Sharp's arm during a Ravens-Broncos, I think it was a Ravens-Broncos game. He actually broke his arm. I remember when Romanowski actually spat on a wide receiver for the 49ers, J.J. Stokes. A lot of nasty shit he used to do. Yeah, that was a hell of a shot. And y'all think y'all wonder why he's walking off like that. I'm not, again, and yeah, they got people who have been concussed and don't act like this. But, everybody is different. I'm not a mental health expert, and unfortunately, CTE is something that's only discovered post-mortem. But what they say is that, and I agree with this, when the brain takes so many hits, it's not about the concussions, it's the hits you take every day. It causes something. If he has, for him to, I want y'all to look at this. Go back and look at this. Now, what I was going to play for you was how Tom Brady reacted. And Tom Brady, actually, he didn't throw old boy under the bus. He didn't throw Aaron AB under the bus. He talked about him getting help. And you saw on the sidelines, too, Mike Evans was trying to help. And let me say this. It would make sense, though, if they did try to put him back into the game, because the Buccaneers are without any wide receivers. With that, their top wide receivers like Chris Godwin, and I know Mike Evans. When the Saints played them, they actually suffered some severe injuries. One of them someone tore their ACL. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been hurting on wide receiver. Even though they got Gronk, it was good to have AB back. But, Antonio Brown got suspended because of he had a fake vaccination card. So he was suspended 3 days. But I want to play this because Tom Brady didn't throw the guy under the bus.
Cardinals win means they're going to have to wait one more week to decide the winner of the NFC West. ESPN FBI gives them a 33% chance to win the division, and the Cowboys' loss drops them from the number 2 seed to the number 4 seed, ending their hopes of earning a first-round bye. So this game kept it interesting, right? You think Tom Brady's going to blow out the Bucs? Think again. Here he is, and this actually was the biggest moment of the game. In the third quarter, AB, Antonio Brown, Bucs down 13, takes off his shirt, throws it into the stands, starts taking off his gloves, throws that into the stands, walks to the tunnel, and walks off the field.
Chucked up the deuces. Just said, I'm out.
Yeah,
Middle of the second half.
And we'll talk more about him in a second. Still unknown exactly why he did that. There is pads on the sideline. Meanwhile, on the field, end of the third quarter, 4th and goal for the Bucs. Brady to Cameron Brate for the touchdown.
Yeah, really nice design to attack coverage. That ball's got to be put right out of the break on Cameron Brate on his chest. Tom Brady does exactly that.
All right, Jets up 24-20, going for it on 4th and 2. Zach Wilson trying to sneak.
Yeah, that was stupid. I'm trying not to play the whole game, but
you're going to see the corner up top with vision. Brady's going to catch the snap, pump the tight end.
damn, Brady is good. This is more like the WWE.
And there's that turkey hole, that honey hole shot right on the sideline.
To the exact same guy, Cyril Grayson.
For guys who don't even play football at LSU, you just sleep at that school and you become good at football.
Oh, boy. Okay, here's Bruce Arians after with
He is no longer a Buck. All right, that's the end of the story. Let's talk about the guys that went out there and won the game.
I think everybody should find, hopefully do what they can to help him in ways that he really needs it. And, we all love him. We care about him deeply. We want to see him be at his best. And, unfortunately, won't be with our team. I think everyone should be very compassionate and empathetic toward very difficult things that are happening.
Now, there's obviously a lot of talk about Antonio Brown this morning. Not really clear what happened, why he did that, what was going on there. But RC, former Steeler, you played with them. What's your reaction to this?
Well, this kind of, at least on this network, all started with me years ago after he had to blow up in Pittsburgh, where he wouldn't go to practice and where he's on the sideline in the fur. And I said what I said then about what type of person I believe he is. And now with the way that we've moved forward with mental health awareness, we understand that there are some underlying things here. We understand that more could be at play when it comes to Antonio Brown. Here's the thing I will speak to. The one thing about the NFL is if you have an elite level, right, competitive trait, the NFL will find ways to forgive you. That trait for Antonio Brown was unquestioned. The fact that he'd work as hard as anyone, the fact that he'd compete as hard as anyone, the fact that when it was time to be on the grass, he gave you the best.
They put him in good positions, yeah. I can tell you this. The refs help them a lot. I've seen games, and y'all know this. I've seen games where, like a couple of years ago, when the Patriots were playing the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship back in 2019, and they called roughing the passer on Kansas City, and Brady wasn't even touched.
High-level athlete, and he produced at such a high level when you gave him opportunities to play. When you do this, no one wants you to be around. No one wants you to be a part of their locker room. No one wants you to be a part of their team. He was not completely inconsistent. It was consistent that he would work. It was consistent that he would help you win football games. That is no longer consistent. No one wants a wholly inconsistent person on their team, and that's who Antonio Brown is.
I can tell you this, never as a coach, and I only coached for 30 years. I've never seen it one time. I did see it once as a player on the practice field in college. We had a guy walk off the field, throw his pads, it was hot, it was whatever, and then came back the next day begging to come back on the team. And and we all laughed at what he did because it was different. This is way different than that.
Yes,
this is it ain't funny.
I agree.
And to me, this is a real issue, and it needs to be done. And Bruce Arians, he cut bait, and right now he's kicking himself for bringing him back. Yeah. I can assure you.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you a question? Because I'm a little bit off, kind of what the plan was, but I felt this is who Antonio Brown always has been. And this is who Antonio Brown has always been enabled to be. So I wasn't surprised by it.
Well, I remember when he has had issues, and I got to be real, behavior issues before, like recording the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room. Also, he was actually recording that conversation with John Gruden out in Oakland. And that's why he got cut then. Remember when he came to Oakland? And that was part of the reason. Other reason was that he was,
issues with recovering, not showing up for practice, all of this stuff, and they just said I had enough with it. But they always talk about how bad they always talk about black players real bad. You said Bubba Smith wrote about Rick Gaines in 1983. Well, there's actually a book called Interference that was written by a guy named Dan Moldea. I think it's out of print, but he wrote that back in the 80s. And it was about how organized crime influenced professional football. I mean, look, you had a referee for the NBA who came out and even said how did he influence the Lakers game. The Lakers versus, he specifically named the game, Lakers versus Sacramento Kings. I'm well aware of point shaving. So yeah, that stuff happens. This is the book actually right here. Interference. How organized crime influences professional football. And Keith Olbermann even talks about it. That is an old interview he did with Pat Sajak. Man, Pat Sajak had hair.
No, not yet. Thanks for that tip, Matthew. Boy, I'll tell you what, this is a bombshell book which just came out last week, and it makes some pretty hair-raising charges against a lot of folks involved with the National Football League. The title says a lot of it, Interference, How Organized Crime Influences Professional Football. Please welcome its author, Dan Moldea. Dan? Hey. What are you hearing from the powers that be? Anything?
They just want me to go away right now.
We've spoken to them, and they don't want to talk about it either. They have nothing to say.
Well, they're not denying anything, and they're not refuting any of the facts.
Let me talk about some of the major charges. And I just jotted down a few of the. I mean, you're saying, for example, virtually every team owner gambles on football teams.
Well, I'm saying that no fewer than 26.
That's
NFL team owners have documented ties. Past and present NFL team owners have documented business ties to either the gambling community and or the organized crime syndicate. I'm also saying that no fewer than 70 NFL games have been fixed.
Now that's pretty rough stuff. You're saying no fewer than 70 NFL games have been fixed. You mean the outcome, the point spread, what?
I'm saying the points were shaved and thereby fixed.
How does this happen?
Well, I first got into this about 1983. Vincent Persani, who is the head of the Michigan State Attorney General's Office Organized Crime Division, told me, if you're going to do a book about the NFL, Dan, you're going to have to get into this guy, Don Dawson, because he was fixing games. We knew it. I went to my friends and my sources at the Internal Revenue Service, the Organized Crime Intelligence Division. They said Don Dawson was fixing games. I went to the FBI, the Organized Crime and Racketeering Section of the Justice Department, and Strike Force field offices. Everybody told me what Don Dawson was fixing games. At that point, I had enough evidence to print that allegedly Don Dawson was fixing NFL games. He was a major bookmaker in the Midwest. I then went to Dawson. I tracked him down. I jumped through all kinds of hoops to interview him. And when I interviewed him on about the 7th or 8th interview, he admitted to me that he had personally participated in the fixing of no fewer than 32 NFL games.
And how does that happen?
He liked to work with the quarterback. He would go to the quarterback would come to him and say, I need some bread. What's the line on the game this week? And the bookmaker would say, you guys are favored by 6 points. And then the reply was, we're not going to cover the spread. And basically that was it.
I'm not going to play all of that. But, the more and more I think about this, because, I'm a sports fan. I'm not going to lie to you. I still watch college football. I still watch NFL. I watch basketball from time to time. I like sport. It is entertainment. And that's the thing you got to realize. It is all entertainment. And if there is entertainment, of course, there is someone who is directing the entertainment. There is someone who has written the script. The movies you watch, the TVs you watch, even when you're watching the highlights, remember that goes into an editing room and you have people reading from a teleprompter. Your news has become entertainment. So it is not a shock or surprise that this stuff would go on. But, my whole thing with it, and I saw people with the memes, and I'm not going to lie, I laughed at some of the stuff I saw, like AB walking off.
I mean, he had only just needed one touchdown. He needed one touchdown in order to get some of his incentives. You know, he had incentives in his contract that he would have gotten, you know, if he had made a touchdown, if he had caught so many receptions, he would have gotten $333,000. I believe he was just one touchdown away from that, in which he could have easily have gotten. And I'm hearing different things about it now. He was actually spotted at a game for the Nets just this past Monday. He was sitting courtside. So, like I said, it could be mental health issues that he has. He could very well be bipolar. It very well could be that. I'm just on the side where I'm being cautious. I'm cautious with it. Now, let me say, well, you know, it was just when I saw the Saints game, when I saw the Saints play the Rams in the championship, and the wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis clearly got hit with a helmet-to-helmet shot that everybody saw. Everybody knows that's an automatic penalty. That wasn't, he interfered with him catching the ball. That's one flag. The other flag would have been for helmet-to-helmet. That would have iced the game. The officials were looking at it. They didn't call it. The Saints kick a field goal. They end up going to overtime and lose. But I've never seen anything like this.
The crowd, shocking. It took me a minute to process it. Like, did he get ejected? I didn't hear it. What happened? It just absolutely positively shocking. But at the same time, hey, Tom Brady, you brought this guy in, Bruce Arians, but anything this guy lately, and then you didn't talk after the game about it. No, this is what you get.
He's in purple.
Wow. A development.
Yeah.
Should we send Michael Brady to go talk to him?
It's definitely a story. Everything that happened yesterday, Antonio Brown taking off his uniform, exiting the field at MetLife in the third quarter, Buccaneers Jets, and that's it. He's done with the Buccaneers. And now he's at an NBA game at Barclays Center.
When you're a black player, and these players got to realize this too, everything you do is scrutinized. Everything you do, you're going to get hit with something. So you got to watch your behavior. You need people around you, especially when you're around women with this Me Too era. You got to be around, you got to have people that will surround you that will support you. Otherwise, you're going to be screwed. You're going to screw yourself. But anyway, guys, let me wrap this up and get on out of here. If you love this channel, we're going to end things now. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Please donate to the Cash App. I want to thank our brother Darius from Atlanta for his contribution. I also want to thank and congratulate or celebrate, rather, the birthday of Black Voltron. Y'all send him some birthday libations in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get ready to wrap this up. In the meantime, of course, if you like this channel, if you want to advertise on this channel, look at the link at the bottom to the email. Hit me up for advertisement opportunities. Also, if you want to support me on some premium content, go to the Patreon. It is right there, GBoo2786. That's the link there. Go to our Facebook page to like The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr. That book is going to be coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. I know I say that a lot, but The minute we have some things finished, confirmation from council, it will be available soon. Trust me. The next thing I want to tell you all, if you like to check out some of our music, go to Spotify, Apple, or iTunes and look up Video Spole. You can actually stream Video Spole on Spotify, and you also can go and stream on iTunes, Spotify, and Apple our theme song for our show. Got to get on up. You can also, and I didn't put this up, go to nonniescreoleblends.com and order some delicious seasoning, ladies and gentlemen. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nonnies goes great with every dish. You can see that right here. This is the page, and you just go click that little shopping cart there and order some food. I'm sorry, order some seasoning, not food. But you put the seasoning on your food. That's a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. But I appreciate it, Darius. I appreciate it. I need to stay on there. I need money. But it takes money to live. We actually, and like I said before, we have a new podcast that'll be coming out soon. I'm working on the music to develop for it right now and everything. But y'all stay tuned. We'll have that on. Well, that's the thing. We're working on a podcast with that right now, Computer Robots. So I want to keep you all abreast of it when we have everything developed. We just finished shooting our first pilot episode, so it's still in development. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on up and get on out of here. Happy birthday, Black Voltron. This Gotta Get On Up is for you. That has been it for today's channel, ladies and gentlemen. For today's show, I will be back on Thursday with our brother Sean James. And oh, by the way, I'll have a flyer and stuff ready for you all. January 20th at the beer. I will be doing headlining that night, doing some comedy. So all of my family in Lafayette, January 20th at 8. Y'all come on out, okay? Holla. Peace.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Because on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop. I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up
2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor, baby. Gotta get on. Baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up